Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. Join me on part 3 of the UK Hardcore slash Hardstyle from scratch. We made this from complete zero. We started with a blank project, the scariest thing for any producer. And we made this really sick track. I always say this, I always say I'm going to finish it, but this one I'm 100% finishing and releasing it. Hopefully on my own label. Let's see. A few things to talk about, as always. Got to plug something, right? As always, the Ollie James Patreon is available if you want feedback on your demos, if you want to Skype with me, if you want to work on music with me. I've been getting a lot more involved in working with my patrons on Zoom. You know, they open a project, we go through the projects together. That's been a lot of fun. If you want me to work on your track, but you don't want to see my ugly face, then you can join the Patreon production suite, where I will take your track and make it better. Some of you guys struggle with leads, some of you struggle with processing, some of you struggle with bass lines. I can help you out with that. Since I've had so much success with the Ollie James Patreon, I've decided to launch a new Patreon for my new label. Now, with labels, I didn't actually realize how much it costs for each release. You've got artwork, you've got videos, and with this kind of music, during a pandemic, we ain't getting much streams. We're going to make probably 40 pence from streams. This is just the way it is. Our music's built for the festivals, for the clubs. So right now it's probably the worst time to start a label, but I couldn't wait any longer, basically. So yeah, I've started a Patreon which offers you lots of exclusive stuff, you know, wallpapers for the tracks, which will be...
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Every time. So yeah, exclusive wallpapers and stuff that nobody else will get. WAV and MP3 of all the tracks. Feedback on your demos. You know, I've got a demo email, which is raveroomdemos@gmail.com. I will be checking that every Monday. Every Monday morning, I'll go through that and check all the demos. A reply is not guaranteed. I think you'll understand why, because I'll have hundreds of people to reply to. But if you want replies on your demos, join the Rave Room Patreon. Just search Rave Room Recordings, you know, find it. If you want to Skype me and show me your demos that way, we can do that. Group live sessions as well, like I've been doing on YouTube, the demo drops. I will be doing those specifically for just a small group of you guys. There's loads of options on there, so go and check. Hopefully, I find some sick bangers in the Patreon and in the email. We're looking for pretty much anything that I would play in my set, you know, high energy stuff. It doesn't have to be a certain genre. If it's going to be big room 128 BPM, it has to be fresh. I don't want any more Sabres FLPs or Kevu FLPs, please, because I'm losing my mind listening to these every day. So yeah, if you've got that kind of music, please let me know. Send it over. I'll put the link in the description. So this is what we had last time. So that's what we've got. I don't really like this. I don't know why I put that in. So where do we go from here? When I've got a track this far along, where do I go? So I'm looking back at this drop, because we haven't touched this drop in a while. We've done the breakdown, but we didn't touch the drop for a long time, so I know I can improve that, or at least I think I can improve it with sounds. Also, shout out to Stu Infinity. This is where I got this bass line. Everybody asks where this bass line's from. And it's from this pack, the Stu Infinity Hardcore Bass and Drums Volume 1. I bought this one because the demo sounded sick and it gives you multi-sampled key bass lines. So you don't have to pitch the stuff up. And if you're an FL Studio user, pitching stuff up just ruins the track, right? So with this, you can literally drag in the keys you need, which is amazing, which is why I got it. He also sent me this one, so I can't wait to have a look for this, and it's probably going to help make this track better. In addition to that, he gave me some June 3 presets, which are really sick. Honestly, really sick. I don't know how he's done them. I didn't even know how you could like sound design in June so well. But these stuff is on par with Nexus for me. So hopefully we'll be using some of them sounds as well. You can get those by dropping him a message on his Facebook. I think he's in the process of getting a page set up. because it was an absolute mission for me to try and get those. I was so desperate for this pack, but I couldn't get him to reply on my Facebook, but he will reply now because that's where all of you guys are going to head. So yeah, go and grab those because they're really good. We'll hopefully use some of the sounds in this track. Without his sounds and Stonebank's sounds, this track would not be where it is. When you're making a certain style, you need to use sounds from that style, or it would probably just end up being just sound like a big room track but fast, right? So what we're going to do is probably start jumping into this drop a bit. I think the breakdown's pretty good. This drop actually needs a lot of work. It's very simple right now, so I think maybe we should actually start here. My thought here is to go for a screech. I need to get this a little bit more tight though. So I'm just playing with the automation here, so it's just going to duck it away smoothly when these bass hits come in, when these bass notes come in. So let's check the sidechain on this. I'll probably boost the low end in this because this is where our low end is coming from. Because we're ducking away our main bass shot, we're lacking a lot of low end. So I like to boost around the 60 hertz range. Big difference. With psytrance, I also like to boost the mids as well. Gives it a little bit of character, and also in the high end. Put the sidechain last. What about making this one mono? Nah, I like it having that little bit of a stereo aspect as well. It just makes it sound more full. So that's sounded pretty good right now. We need to find a screech. Now, I know there's lots of screeches in Nexus, but because this is, you know, a UK hardcore tutorial, I want to try and showcase some of these UK hardcore sounds. So as I said, the Stonebank presets are ones I've been using a lot. In addition to that, I'm going to be using the Stu Infinity ones as well. But I know he has some screeches. I'm just going to see if I can find a nice screech. Do you know what? I haven't touched this track in 2 weeks, so I don't even know what key we're in. D sharp. Okay. Oh. Oh, sick. So I'm thinking this kind of simple pattern. Oh, that's sick. I really like that in the low tone. Something like this. Like, we're really gonna have to fill this up with something because I like minimal drops, but you do want to have a little bit more content with a UK hardcore track. UK hardcore is really about the processing and like next level lead sound design and stuff like that. So this feels a little bit loud in this drop, but in the other drop it sounds okay. So we're just going to drop the volume a little bit. Let's have a look in this new pack from Stu Infinity, see if there's any nice drums we can use. Something like that's going to be great. And yeah, it probably should have been 170 BPM this track, but because a lot of you guys are big room producers that follow me and subscribe to me and stuff, I wanted to keep it a little bit closer to the EDM world. And you can see that W&W did that recently with their track with Axmo. You know, 160 BPM, it's a little bit in between the two worlds, so I thought it would be better to do that. So this is sounding pretty good. I think we're going to look for other screeches as well because, you know, I'm never happy with the first one I find. I always feel like I'm missing out, so I go and check the other ones as well. Oh. Okay, so this is pretty good. not sure it fits the vibe though. Let's jump into the June 3 stuff as well. So the pack is called Anthem Therapy June 3 UK Hardcore. I'm pretty sure there's some screeches here. There's a couple of screeches here. Let's see if this one could be the right vibe if we can EQ it properly. So we're just going to try and get it to sound good. I'm going to take the bass stab off the other kick, the hardstyle-ish kick, because I want it to sound quite minimal when I'm mixing this, because if I can get it to sound good without that in, it'll sound good, you know. So I'm going to stick Arts Acoustic Reverb. I'm going to stick Camel Crush on it as well. Don't want to over process this. So this is the screech, and I'm going to stick a peak controller on it as well, because the screech, I want it to be clean. Then I want the reverb to kick in. Peak controller, there we go. So we're going to right click this as always. We're going to link it to a controller. We're going to find the screech peak and click inverted, and now this is controlled. That's nice and smooth. It's a little bit distorted, so I just want to go into the reverb of the actual sound and maybe knock the reverb off of that. It's going to be a lot cleaner. Not sure I like the position, actually. I think I prefer that. We need a sidechain on it as well, not a super tight one. EQ wise, don't need to take too much from the low end actually, because the side bass isn't crazy on the low end front, so maybe just a like 40 and under boost. Sorry, reduction. Boost the mids though. Make it sound more full. We need more on the reverb front as well. The compression isn't right. Want to also make this wide as well, and just make this sound super wide. So what I heard quite a lot in like Darren Styles tracks, who's like a god of this genre. This is who I listen to a lot for the inspiration for the stuff. Some of the tracks, a lot of the drums are mono, and then he'll have this screech which just rattles in the side of the speakers, and it sounds really good. So I'm gonna try and like copy that a little bit. See how wide that screech is in comparison to the kick. So we also want to try and get this bass line in mono as well, so we can have that same effect. So everything feels tight, and then as soon as the screech comes in, it just opens up, and that's another part of like the sound design aspect. So we're going to stick an S1 imager as always, and we're going to make it tight. So we're going to want a little fill in here. try to shape the LFO so that it sounds smooth, because right now it's just like, it's a little bit delayed. So I'm liking that. I think it needs to be a little bit less in your face. And what we could also do if we wanted to be fancy and like kind of progress this drop a little bit, we could just do a filter and just filter it up gradually like this. So I like that a lot, man. I think this vocal we've got is really nice. I think we need to introduce it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just take some of this extended reverb from the vocal. Maybe this, and what we can also do is do some cool gate effect on it. So what I would do is I would make this unique. I would add a gross beat on there as well. And I would load up, I just call this sick gate because this is the one I always use and I always used to forget. But I'm going to use a 1/4 gate because we're not on a triplet melody right now. So it's going to go da 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 da. Not sure I like this bit specifically though. See, I was just going to provide a little bit of atmosphere to the background of the track. We're also going to sidechain it as well, so we're going to have it as tight as everything else. We're going to add a sidechain on. So what we're going to do with the gross beat is automate it here so that it comes off at the end of the drop because we're using the same vocal processing. Same for the sidechain. It's just going to be a light one, and I'm going to turn it off as soon as this drop finishes. Now let's bring in the hardstyle kick. What I want to add in here is some toms. For sure I want to add some toms. So let's get up the old... where can I look for some toms? Don't know where my splice is gone actually. I'll have to sort that out for next time. So where we're going to look for some toms now. Cashmere maybe, but again I don't really want to use cashmere toms. Maybe some old packs, some of the blur packs, usually good. Hard house ones. Percussion. It's maybe a little bit too hard, but let's try it. Could fit, could fit. So, just gonna do this. When you're mixing, it's important to hear every single aspect. You don't want these toms to just be in there aimlessly. You want to be able to hear the toms, you want to be able to hear the sub bass, you want to be able to hear the sigh, you want to hear everything, and that's what I'm doing there with the volume. I'm just trying to work out in my ear, kind of hear all the elements, and that's something you pick up with experience. So that needs a little bit more high end. It feels a little bit lost there. Gonna need a riser or something here, but as far as this drops goes, we're getting there. We're definitely making some progress. So with this screech, because it's so cool, what we want to do is we want to introduce it in the breakdown as well. So we're just going to do this kind of pattern. And we're just going to like gradually fade it out with a filter, I would say. So we're just going to jump to 17, which is the mixer track. We're going to go to our filter. What we're going to do with the sidechain is remove the sidechain because there's no kick drum in the breakdown. So we're going to get rid of this sidechain, but then leave it up so that if we want to use it later in the track, it's going to have the sidechain on. With the filter as well, what we're going to do is just filter it down like that, I would say. Sick, love that transition, and look how we've joined the first drop with this drop. This is a great way to like connect your drop and your breakdown, because a lot of people have tracks which sound like two tracks stuck together. But what we've done is took the drop sound from the first drop and put it into the breakdown, which makes it sound connected, which is a good way if you're working on a collab with somebody and you want to combine your stuff. This is a good way to do that. So what we're going to want to do with this is we want to try and create a reverse. So we want to try and take this section, maybe. Why can't I hear anything? Sounds sick reversed. I like that a lot, man. It's maybe not right for what we need. We're going to need a transition here, so I'm going to go to the impact and go to the low ones. Need something like this. I always like to use these. Just so it indicates even more that the breakdown started. So actually, I just want to try this, see what this sounds like. bass line's pretty weak here, so I need to boost that a lot. Also make it mono. But because it's got a nice mid layer to it, you want to keep it. You don't want to do it too mono because you're going to lose that like mid aspect as well. So I want to see if I can get away with a little bit more of this kick to show, because it ducks out quite quickly. Need a nice little filler here, so I'm thinking like a drum fill or something. Cashmere always works. It's pretty perfect actually. Oh yes, that's nice. So what am I missing? I think I need a reverse sound as well, like a reverse synth. So it's in effects, reverse sweeps, I guess. No, reverse synths and vocals.